Foreign Minister of Iran, Abbas Araghchi, has said that Iranian soldiers are currently waiting for US ground troops to invade Iran, saying, "The Iranians are prepared for any scenario." According to Araghchi, Iran is confident that its soldiers can confront US ground troops, and if the United States actually decided to begin ground troops invasion in Iran, it will be a disaster for the US because we know we can handle them, adding, Russia and China are supporting Iran in the ongoing war with the US and Israel politically and otherwise, and shortly after the Iran foreign minister made this known in an exclusive interview with NBC News Media on Thursday, the US Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, visited the US Central Command, CENTCOM headquarters at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa area of Florida, apparently for a high-level briefing and next plan of action discussed with the CENTCOM commander, Admiral Brad Cooper. This, local media in Iran reported on Friday morning that the spokesperson for the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, IRGC, Brigadier General Ali Mohammed Naini, says the Iranian armed forces are ready for a long war to punish the aggressor. The war, which began last week Saturday, has led to the deaths of over 1,300 people in Iran, 12 in Israel and 6 US soldiers. According to the Iranian Red Crescent Society on March 6, 2026, over 1,332 people have been killed in Iran since the start of the war on February 28, 2026. Hengor Organization for Human Rights, in an earlier report in the conflict on March 2, the Norway-based NGO stated that at least 1,500 deaths, specifically identifying 1,300 Iranian military members and 200 civilians among the fallen. While the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, confirmed that, of the more than 1,300 total fatalities, at least 181 are children. This includes approximately 175 children killed in a single strike at a girls' primary school in the Manab area of Iran. Foundation of Martyrs and Veterans Affairs, the official Iranian government agency, reported a death toll of at least 1,230 as of March 5. On the side of Israel, Magen David Adom, MDA, Israel's National Emergency Medical Service, confirmed 9 fatalities specifically from a direct ballistic missile hit on a public shelter in Beit Shemesh on March 1. The Israeli police, in an official police report, identified 9 killed in Beit Shemesh and have noted that 11 people remain missing as search and rescue operations continued. Ichilov Hospital in Tel Aviv confirmed the death of a 102-year-old man who died from a fall while attempting to reach a shelter during a siren. Although 10 deaths were confirmed by the Israeli authorities as stated above, but some local and international media put the total deaths in Israel at 12. According to the U.S. Department of War and CENTCOM, 6 American service members have been killed so far, with 18 other soldiers wounded. Those killed included Sergeant Declan J. Cody, aged 20, Captain Cody A. Cork, aged 35, Sergeant First Class Nicole M. Amer, aged 39, Sergeant First Class Noah Tychens, aged 42, Major Jeffrey O'Brien, aged 45, and Chief Warrant Officer 3, CW3 Robert M. Marsden, aged 54. All 6 soldiers were said to be assigned to the 103rd Sustainment Command based in Des Moines, Iowa, and died following an Iranian drone attack on a tactical operations center at Port Shuaibah, Kuwait, on March 1, 2026. U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth stated that the casualties primarily occurred when a projectile breached air defenses and struck a tactical operations center at a military base in Kuwait. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, has provided much higher figures, which US officials have dismissed as propaganda. IRGC spokesperson, Brigadier General Ali Mohammed Naini, claimed that 650 American soldiers were killed or wounded during the first 2 days of the conflict. Naini alleged that 160 of these casualties resulted from strikes on the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. Iran also claimed to have struck the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier with 4 cruise missiles, saying the warship was forced to flee towards the Indian Ocean. He warned on state TV that the gates of hell will open more and more for the US and Israel, promising continuous, punitive attacks. He announced that Iran is prepared for a prolonged war and will soon deploy advanced, strategic weaponry and innovations that have not yet been used on a large scale. The US CENTCOM in numbers of posts stated that the Iranian regime is using mobile launchers to indiscriminately fire missiles in an attempt to inflict maximum harm across the region. US forces are hunting these threats down, and without apology or hesitation, we are taking them out. Iran's IRGC claims to have struck USS Abraham Lincoln with ballistic missiles. Lie. The Lincoln was not hit. The missiles launched didn't even come close. The Lincoln continues to launch aircraft in support of CENTCOM's relentless campaign to defend the American people by eliminating threats from the Iranian regime. The Iranian regime's false messaging machine continues to falsely claim that it has sunk a US aircraft carrier. The only carrier that has been hit is the Shahid Bahari, an Iranian drone carrier. US forces struck the ship within hours of launching Operation Epic Fury. Major combat operations continue and our response effort is ongoing. During a UN Security Council meeting yesterday, the Iranian ambassador to the UN stated their response has been directed solely and exclusively at the bases and assets of the United States. Lie. The Iranian regime is actively targeting civilians and has attacked more than a dozen locations, including Dubai International Airport, Kuwait International Airport, Zayed International Airport, Dubai, Erbil International Airport, Iraq, Fairmont Palm Hotel, Dubai, Burj Al Arab Hotel, Dubai, Crown Plaza Hotel, Bahrain, Port of Dubai, residential areas in Beit Shemesh, Israel, residential areas in Tel Aviv, Israel, residential area of Era Views Towers, Bahrain, residential areas in Qatar. When NBC presenter asked the Iranian Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi, "Are you afraid of a US invasion in your country?" Araghchi replied and said, "No, we are waiting for them." Araghchi explicitly stated that Iran is not asking for a ceasefire or the continuation of the war by waiting for the US ground troops invasion, and while saying Iran sees no reason to negotiate with the US at this time, he also said that Iran now has more quality resources based on lessons learned from previous war, adding, Iranian soldiers can handle US ground troops. Reiterating, Iran is waiting for a potential US ground invasion, characterizing such an offensive as a big disaster for American troops. Araghchi had earlier labeled a recent US strike on an unarmed Iranian Navy training ship a war crime. Araghchi accused President Donald Trump of betraying diplomacy by treating complex nuclear negotiations like a real estate transaction. He claimed there is clear evidence that US forces are actively cooperating with Israel in recent attacks on Iranian soil. He cautioned that a full military conflict would be disastrous for the entire region, due to the presence of US military bases across the Middle East. China and Russia are supporting Iran primarily through high-level diplomatic protection and critical military technology, though they have notably refrained from direct military intervention during the current conflict. Both nations requested an emergency session of the UN Security Council to address recent US and Israeli strikes. China and Russia have officially labeled the attacks grave violations of Iranian sovereignty and war crimes. Russia has publicly stated there is no evidence of Iran seeking a nuclear bomb, countering Western justifications for the strikes. They continue to legitimize the Iranian government by deepening its roles in BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO. Reports indicated that Russia has begun delivering Su-35 fighter jets and S-400 air defense components to help Iran detect stealth aircraft like the F-35. China has transitioned Iran's military from US GPS to its own BEIDO U-3 navigation system, which provides jam-resistant, high-precision targeting for Iranian missiles. Both allies share real-time satellite imagery and signals intelligence, SIGINT, to help Tehran monitor US and Israeli troop movements. Before the new war started, it could be recalled that in late February 2026, the three nations conducted the Maritime Security Belt 2026 naval drills in the Strait of Hormuz to demonstrate strategic alignment. Meanwhile, Al Jazeera reported on Thursday that top Iranian official Ali Larijani has stressed that his country is prepared to confront a possible invasion from the United States, pledging to capture and kill U.S. troops if they enter the country. Thursday's statement comes as U.S. officials, including President Donald Trump, refuse to rule out deploying forces inside Iran. Larijani, who serves as the Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council of Iran, warned that such actions would have dire consequences. Some American officials have stated that they intend to enter Iranian territory on the ground with several thousand troops, Larijani said in a statement. He then added a pointed reference to Iran's former supreme leaders, Ruhollah Khomeini and Ali Khamenei, the latter of whom was killed on Saturday in a joint US-Israeli strike. The valiant sons of Imam Khomeini and Imam Khamenei are waiting for you, ready to disgrace those corrupt American officials by killing and capturing thousands, he said. Larijani, who was a close advisor to the assassinated supreme leader, is believed to be one of the most powerful figures in Iran. An apparent pro-US government Facebook user with the account handle, Donald Trump for President, clarifies issues related to some US pilots seen during ejecting from their fighter jets for safety in Kuwait. According to the Facebook user, in numbers of posts, in one of which titled, "Kuwaiti rushes to aid downed female American pilot, thank you for helping us." In the desert heat of Operation Epic Fury, a female US F-15E Strike Eagle pilot ejected safely after her jet was tragically downed by friendly fire from Kuwaiti air defenses. As she touched down in the sand at sunset, a local Kuwaiti man sprinted across the dunes to reach her first, beating everyone else to the scene. "Are you fine? You are safe. Thank you for helping us," the man told her, his voice carrying gratitude for America's role in regional security. CENTCOM confirmed all 6 American aircrew, 3 F-15s total, ejected safely, were recovered within hours, and are in stable condition. Kuwait has acknowledged the error amid the confusion of Iranian missiles and drone barrages. The moment highlights the human side of coalition warfare, a civilian rushing to assist a foreign pilot in distress, underscoring the complexity of modern military operations and the bonds between partner nations. God bless the service members who risk their lives in dangerous missions, and the civilians who step forward to help when it matters most. On March 2, 2026, 3 U.S. Air Force F-15E Strike Eagles were accidentally shot down by Kuwaiti air defenses during high-intensity operations against Iranian targets under Operation Epic Fury. All 6 pilots ejected safely and were recovered within hours by coalition forces in stable condition. No local civilian assistance was needed. Each pilot carried the standard blood chit, a small, rugged fabric patch sewn into flight gear with a clear multilingual plea. "I am an American and I do not speak your language. I will do you no harm. Please give me food, water, shelter, clothing, and a doctor. Help me reach American or friendly forces. When you provide my name and this number to US authorities, you will be rewarded." Printed in English, Arabic, Turkish, Persian, and Kurdish, the blood chit is a proven World War II-era survival measure that promises cash rewards for aid. In this case, thanks to rapid US-Kuwaiti coordination, the chits remained in the pilot's gear, unnecessary but ready. The incident reminds us that even among close allies, the fog of war can strike hard. Yet swift recovery and strong coalition response kept American airmen safe and mission focus intact. The fog of war nearly led to a tragedy in the Al Jara area of Kuwait today, but a viral video is showing the world how quickly a violent situation turned into a heroic rescue. After 3 US F-15E Strike Eagles were mistakenly downed by Kuwaiti air defenses in a friendly fire incident, one of our pilots found himself surrounded by a group of intense, shouting locals. In the heat of Operation Epic Fury, tensions are at a breaking point across the Gulf. When the jet spiraled down in flames, Locals rushed to the scene. Witnesses, including Ahmed al-Assar, initially thought the parachuting airman was an Iranian pilot from the regime that has been launching reckless strikes across the region. The footage shows a crowd closing in, shouting in Arabic, as the pilot, clutching his equipment, desperately identifies himself. American. American, over here. The second the crowd realized he was an American ally, the energy shifted instantly. You can hear the locals shouting, "Carlas, Carlas, stop, stop," to hold back the more aggressive members and begin the rescue. What started as a confrontation ended with the pilot being shielded and comforted by the very people he's in the region to protect. The pilot was given shelter in a vehicle and checked for injuries. One local can be heard reassuring him in English, "How you feelin'? It's okay, brother, come." Despite the friendly fire error caused by the chaos of a massive Iranian drone and missile swarm, Kuwait has acknowledged the mistake and is working, hand in hand, with the Trump Hexath team to ensure it doesn't happen again.
Boots on the ground in Iran, are you afraid of a U.S. invasion in your country?
No, we are waiting for them.
You are waiting for the U.S. military to invade, the ground troops?
Yes, because we are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them.
So you're saying that Iran is ready and willing to take on the U.S. military if there were to be ground troops?
Well, we were ready for this war even more than the previous war. So you can see, the quality of our missiles, how much they are upgraded after the last war, because we learned lots of lessons. And we are prepared for any other eventuality, even, a ground invasion. So our soldiers are prepared for any scenario. When I said that we are waiting for them, it didn't mean that we are waiting for continuation of the war. No, but we have prepared ourselves to confront with any scenario, with any eventuality, any possibility, and we know that we can handle that.
Are your allies Russia and China helping you?
Well, they are supporting us politically and otherwise.
Well, most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, we had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group. They may be dead also, based on reports. So I guess you have a third wave coming, and pretty soon we're not going to know anybody.
The Iranian Air Force is no more. Built for 1996, destroyed in 2026. The Iranian Navy rests at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Combat ineffective, decimated, destroyed, defeated, pick your adjective. In fact, last night, we sunk their prize ship, the Soleimani. Looks like POTUS got him twice. Their Navy, not a factor. Pick your adjective, it is no more. In fact, yesterday, in the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II. Starting last night and to be completed in a few days, in under a week, the two most powerful air forces in the world will have complete control of Iranian skies, uncontested airspace. I hope all the folks watching understand what uncontested airspace and complete control means. It means we will fly all day, all night, day and night, finding, fixing, and finishing the missiles and defense industrial base of the Iranian military, finding and fixing their leaders and their military leaders, flying over Tehran, flying over Iran, flying over their capital, flying over the IRGC, Iranian leaders looking up and seeing only U.S. and Israeli air power every minute of every day until we decide it's over. And Iran will be able to do nothing about it. B-2s, B-52s, B-1s, Predator drones, fighters, controlling the skies, picking targets. Death and destruction from the sky all day long. We're playing for keeps. Our warfighters have maximum authorities granted personally by the President and yours truly. Our rules of engagement are bold, precise, and designed to unleash American power, not shackle it. This was never meant to be a fair fight, and it is not a fair fight. We are punching them while they're down, which is exactly how it should be. Thus far, Operation Epic Fury has delivered twice the air power of shock and awe of Iraq in 2003, minus Paul Bremer and the nation building. The campaign has 7 times the intensity of Israel's previous operations against Iran during the 12-day war. 7 times. And as President Trump said, more and larger waves are coming. We are just getting started. We are accelerating, not decelerating. Iran's capabilities are evaporating by the hour, while American strength grows fiercer, smarter, and utterly dominant. More bombers and more fighters are arriving just today.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
United States President Donald Trump, in a nationwide broadcast issued a few hours ago over the joint Israel-U.S. military actions in the sovereign nation of Iran, has said that many Iranian soldiers are willing to surrender in order to save their lives, but the offensive U.S.-Israel military war or combat on Iran continued, saying the joint military operations, codenamed Operation Epic Fury, has destroyed hundreds of Iranian targets since the military action began on February 28, 2026, including the killing of the Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and the new joint war against Iran has resulted to the killing of more than 200 Iranian civilians and military personnel, with thousands of people injured, while over 12 persons have been killed so far in Israel, with estimated 500 people sustaining injuries, and the war has forced Iran to launch counterattacks on U.S. military bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, UAE. This, Iran Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi had said Iran will not surrender, stating that, despite the massive airstrikes on Tehran, Iran's military capability remains intact, adding, Iran was able to retaliate faster than it did in the 2025 12-day war, and that its Mosaic defense doctrine makes it resilient to infrastructure damage. Araghchi called the killing of Khamenei absolutely unprecedented and a major violation of international law, warning it had made the conflict even more dangerous and more complicated, saying, Khamenei was not only Iran's political leader, but a high-ranking religious leader for millions of Muslims, even outside of Iran, across the region, pointing to protests that had erupted in Iraq, Pakistan and elsewhere where the leader had followers. In line with this, Al Jazeera news media also reported some minutes ago that Iranian missiles have been seen over Tel Aviv and the occupied West Bank, reportedly breaking through Israel's defense system, with Iran saying it is targeting Israeli military facilities. In the 6 minutes nationwide video broadcast, President Donald Trump called on members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards to surrender their weapons or face certain deaths, saying, the death of the 3 American soldiers killed in action will be avenged by taking more punishing actions against the enemies. President Donald Trump said there will likely be additional American deaths during the combat mission in Iran, which he said would continue until the U.S. achieves its objectives. Combat operations continue at this time, in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives, he said in a video posted to Truth Social, without specifying in detail what those objectives were, according to CNN. President Trump said 9 Iranian ships have been destroyed so far in the Operation Epic Fury. In an earlier social media post, Trump said, I have just been informed that we have destroyed and sunk 9 Iranian naval ships, some of them relatively large and important. We are going after the rest. They will soon be floating at the bottom of the sea, also. President Trump also said during the broadcast that the Iranian people are now celebrating on the streets in Iran over the killing of the Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who he described as a man behind the killing of thousands of Americans and the root behind terrorism in the world. Iran also confirmed the killing of the supreme leader, Khamenei's daughter, granddaughter, son-in-law, and daughter-in-law in the US-Israel joint military air bombardments in Tehran. Iran News Daily reported that the Iranian parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, said, "We have prepared ourselves for all scenarios, and plans have even been made for after the martyrdom of Imam Khamenei. You will see that with the formation of a leadership council, authority will take shape among the people and officials." The media also reported that the Iran's military has launched 4 ballistic missiles targeting the U.S. aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln in the Gulf, in response to U.S. and Israeli strikes that resulted in the death of the country's supreme leader. Spokesperson for the Khatam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters, the Unified Combatant Command of the Iranian Armed Forces, Colonel Ibrahim Zolfahari said, "Iran will not bow to America. The enemies are delusional if they think they can defeat Iran by assassinating the leader of the revolution and the Islamic Republic." The Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, IRGC, also said, "We struck with missiles 3 offending oil tankers belonging to the United States and Britain in the Gulf." While some celebrated the killing of the 86-year-old Iran supreme leader, there were demonstrations in Lucknow, the capital city of Indian northern state of Uttar Pradesh, and Kargil, a city in the India-administered Union territory of Ladakh, in mourning the martyrdom of the leader of the Iran supreme leader. Protesters were also seen destroying U.S. properties at the U.S. consulate in Karachi city of Pakistan. Iranian media reports, citing the Red Crescent, had stated that at least 201 people have been killed across 24 provinces in Iran since the war began on Saturday. Nigeria Islamic cleric, Sheikh Ahmed Gumi, has also reacted to the death of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, describing him as a lucky soul who died in jihad. In a post shared on his Facebook page on Sunday, Gumi said Khamenei died in jihad against killers of innocent children and women in Gaza and elsewhere. He added that Khamenei's blood will fuel the change in the Ummah, noting that the Iranian leader stood firmly for justice and did not hide in bunkers. Gumi wrote, "Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, a lucky soul, he died in jihad against killers of innocent children and women in Gaza and elsewhere. His blood will fuel the change in the Ummah. He stood firmly for justice and didn't hide in bunkers. For those who killed him or assisted in killing him, let us see what they will live to do in this world." Iran state television has announced a 40-day mourning period and 7 public holidays in his honor. With the martyrdom of the supreme leader, his path and mission neither will be lost nor will be forgotten. On the other hand, they will be pursued with greater vigor and zeal, a presenter said. Khamenei, 86, had been Iran's supreme leader since 1989. U.S. Military Central Command confirmed that 3 U.S. service members were killed and 5 others seriously injured in combat operations. Iran has launched extensive counterattacks, firing hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones at Israel, hitting areas like Beit Shemesh and Tel Aviv and U.S. military bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, and the UAE. Over 200 people have been reported killed in Iran, with a single strike on a school in southern Iran resulting in at least 165 deaths. This current 2026 war follows the 12-day war on June 13 to 24, 2025, a prior direct military confrontation between Israel, the US, and Iran that ended in a ceasefire. The 2025 conflict was triggered by Israeli strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. It involved over 1,500 Iranian missiles and drones fired at Israel. The US thereafter conducted Operation Midnight Hammer in June 2025, using B-2 stealth bombers to strike nuclear sites at Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. As of March 2, 2026, local media reports in Israel indicate that at least 12 people have been killed in Israel since the current conflict with Iran escalated on February 28. The deadliest single incident occurred in the central Israeli town on March 1, where an Iranian ballistic missile struck a residential building, killing 9 people. One woman was killed by falling shrapnel during strikes on Saturday, February 28 in Tel Aviv. Over 500 people have been reported injured across the country due to missile impacts, shrapnel, or accidents while seeking shelter.
Over the past 36 hours, the United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury, one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offensives the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen anything like it. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now, it was announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, all over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there. Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization. They have waged war against civilization itself. Our resolve, and likewise that of Israel, has never been stronger. America is now again the richest, most powerful nation in the world by far. But the only reason we enjoy the quality of life that we do and the freedom and security is we have done things that others are unable to do. But it's because of warriors who are willing to lay down their lives to do battle with our enemies. And they do battle better than anybody. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be a dire threat to every American. We cannot allow a nation that raises terrorist armies to possess such weapons, would allow them to extort the world to their evil will. Not going to let it happen. We're not happening to us, and we're not going to let it happen to others. The United States has the strongest military the world has ever seen. I rebuilt our military in my first term. There's never been a military like we possess. And frankly, there's nobody even close. But we are now using that military for good. We want to have it for good purpose. We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago. This is the duty and the burden of a free people. These actions are right, and they are necessary to ensure that Americans will never have to face a radical, bloodthirsty terrorist regime armed with nuclear weapons and lots of threats. For almost 50 years, these wicked extremists have been attacking the United States while chanting the slogan, "Death to America" or "Death to Israel" or both. They are the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. We are the world's greatest and most powerful nation, so we can do something about what they do. These intolerable threats will not continue any longer. I once again urge the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military, police, to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death. Won't be pretty. I call upon all Iranian patriots who yearn for freedom to seize this moment, to be brave, be bold, be heroic, and take back your country. America is with you. I made a promise to you, and I fulfilled that promise. The rest will be up to you, but we'll be there to help. Thank you. God bless you to our incredible warriors, and God bless the United States of America.
Osazuwa Konnede, bringing you the news in a more digital way.
United States, U.S. government under the leadership of President Donald Trump has ordered its citizens out of Lebanon, with the non-emergency citizens specially warned to avoid traveling to southern Lebanon. Although the U.S. Embassy in Beirut never mentioned Israel and Hezbollah possible new war in the Middle East as the reason for its action, but there are strong indications that the American government took the decision because of the possible military conflicts in the region. According to the U.S. government, it do not want America's citizens to travel to Lebanon due to crime, terrorism, civil unrest, kidnapping, unexploded landmines, and the risk of armed conflict, stating that some areas, especially near the borders, have increased risk, while information available on Monday indicated that Hezbollah is preparing to resume retaliatory strikes against Israel by rejecting U.S. ceasefire deal as Israel Defense Forces, IDF, continued airstrikes on Beirut. This, a joint press statement signed and made available on Monday by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the foreign ministers of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Federated Republic of Brazil, the French Republic, the Kingdom of Denmark, the Republic of Finland, the Republic of Iceland, the Republic of Indonesia, Ireland, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, the Kingdom of Norway, the State of Palestine, the Portuguese Republic, the State of Qatar, the Republic of Slovenia, the Kingdom of Spain, the Kingdom of Sweden, the Republic of Turkey, and the Secretary-Generals of the League of Arab States and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation described the current action of Israel in the Middle East as expansionist agenda, and, also on Monday, the Israel Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, appears before Israeli lawmakers at the Knesset and said Israel don't know what the days might be, but they are prepared for any scenario, adding, if Iran attack Israel, Israel will respond with a force Iranian government will never imagined. Also, Iran Observer News Media, in a tweet published on Monday, stated that oil companies around the world are currently advising their staff not to travel to Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, and Qatar unless absolutely necessary. It would be recalled that the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah has historically involved two major wars which occurred in 2006 and 2024, and yet, possible new war remains in a state of high tension characterized by a fragile ceasefire and ongoing military operations. In February 2026, the Middle East region is currently under a fragile ceasefire that began on November 27, 2024. Yet both sides of Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon frequently report violations. The 2024 war was triggered by the October 7, 2023 Hamas attacks on Israel, which Hezbollah began firing rockets into Israel on October 8, 2023. This escalated into a full-scale war in September 2024. The conflict, according to local authorities in Lebanon and Israel, resulted in over 4,000 deaths in Lebanon and approximately 130 deaths in Israel. A U.S.-brokered ceasefire was signed in November 2024, requiring Hezbollah to withdraw north of the Litani River. Prior to the recent conflict, The most significant engagement was the 34-day 2006 Lebanon war, which started on July 12, 2006, after Hezbollah kidnapped 2 Israeli soldiers. The war ended with UN Security Council Resolution 1701, which called for Hezbollah's disarmament in the south of the Litani River, a provision that was never fully enforced and still remains a core issue till date. In recent days, Israel continues to carry out near-daily strikes in Lebanon, targeting what it describes as Hezbollah command centers and missile units, particularly in the Bekaa Valley and southern Lebanon. Israel Defense Forces on Saturday said it eliminated several terrorists of Hezbollah's missile array in 3 different command centers in the Baalbek area in Lebanon. IDF said they were identified as operating to accelerate readiness and force build-up processes, while planning fire attacks toward Israel and advancing terror attacks, their actions constituting a violation of the understandings between Israel and Lebanon. The command center was embedded within the center of a civilian-populated area, and recently used by Hamas terrorists to plan and prepare terror attacks against IDF troops and Israel, in violation of the ceasefire understandings. In response to repeated ceasefire violations, the IDF struck a Hamas command center, from which terrorists operated, in the An al-Hilway area in southern Lebanon. Celebrity Circle had earlier on Monday afternoon stated via its social media handle that the U.S. Embassy had evacuated staff from Lebanon. Accordingly, the Celebrity Circle stated that the U.S. Embassy in Lebanon evacuated dozens of its staff via Beirut's Rafik Hariri International Airport on Monday, long before the U.S. government finally released a press release confirming it has ordered its citizens' evacuation from Lebanon. Celebrity Circle stated the U.S. action is a precautionary move amid expected developments in the region, according to LBCI Lebanon News. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia via its ex-social media handle on Monday, said in part that, "We, the foreign ministers of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Federative Republic of Brazil, the French Republic, the Kingdom of Denmark, the Republic of Finland, the Republic of Iceland, the Republic of Indonesia, Ireland, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, the Kingdom of Norway, the State of Palestine, the Portuguese Republic, the State of Qatar, the Republic of Slovenia, the Kingdom of Spain, the Kingdom of Sweden, the Republic of Turkey, and the Secretary-Generals of the League of Arab States and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, condemn in the strongest terms a series of recent Israeli decisions that introduce sweeping extensions to unlawful Israeli control over the West Bank. Changes are wide-ranging, reclassifying Palestinian land as so-called Israeli state land, accelerating illegal settlement activity, and further entrenching Israeli administration. In a statement issued some hours ago by the U.S. Embassy in Beirut through the website of the U.S. Department of State, the American government stated verbatim thus, updated to reflect ordered departure of non-emergency U.S. government personnel and family members of government personnel on February 23. Do not travel to Lebanon due to crime, terrorism, civil unrest, kidnapping, unexploded landmines, and the risk of armed conflict. Some areas, especially near the borders, have increased risk. Read the entire travel advisory. On February 23, the Department of State ordered the departure of non-emergency U.S. government personnel and family members of government personnel due to the security situation in Beirut. U.S. Embassy Beirut personnel are restricted from personal travel without advance permission. Additional travel restrictions may be imposed on U.S. personnel under Chief of Mission Security responsibility, with little to no notice due to increased security issues or threats. Country summary. U.S. citizens in Lebanon should be aware that consular offices from the U.S. Embassy are not always able to travel to assist them. The Department of State considers the threat to U.S. government personnel in Beirut serious enough to require them to live and work under strict security. The internal security policies of the U.S. Embassy may be adjusted at any time and without advance notice. Terrorist groups continue plotting possible attacks in Lebanon. Terrorists may conduct attacks with little or no warning, targeting tourist locations, transportation hubs, markets, shopping malls, and local government facilities. Local security authorities have noted a rise in violent crimes, including political violence. Multiple unsolved killings in Lebanon may have been politically motivated. Kidnapping, whether for ransom, political motives, or family disputes, has occurred in Lebanon. Suspects in kidnappings may have ties to terrorist or criminal organizations. Unexploded landmines and explosive remnants of war are a hazard along the border with Syria. Heed landmine warning signs. Do not venture off the road into areas marked off with red and white plastic tape. Avoid roadside ditches, shoulders, and unmarked trails. Never touch anything resembling unexploded munitions. U.S. citizens should avoid demonstrations and exercise caution if in the vicinity of any large gatherings or protests, as these have the potential to turn violent quickly and with little notice. Protesters have blocked major roads, including thoroughfares between downtown Beirut and the area where the U.S. Embassy is located, and between Beirut and Beirut Rafik Hariri International Airport. Read the country information page for additional information on travel to Lebanon. If you decide to travel to Lebanon, visit our website for information on travel to high-risk areas. Appoint one family member to serve as the point of contact with kidnappers, hostage takers, media, U.S. and host country government agencies, and members of Congress if you are kidnapped or taken hostage. Keep travel documents up to date and easily accessible. Do not touch unknown metal objects and avoid traveling off well-used roads, tracks, and paths due to risk of unexploded ordnance. Avoid demonstrations and crowds. Stay alert in locations frequented by tourists. Monitor local media for breaking events and adjust your plans based on new information. Enroll in the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, STEP, to receive alerts and make it easier to locate you in an emergency. Follow the Department of State on Facebook and X. Review the Country Security Report for Lebanon. Visit the CDC page for the latest travel health information related to your travel. U.S. citizens who travel abroad should always have a contingency plan for emergency situations. Review the Traveler's Checklist. Southern Lebanon. Level 4. Do not travel, depart if you are there. The U.S. Embassy strongly urges U.S. citizens to avoid southern Lebanon and to depart if you are there, that is, all parts of Lebanon south of the city of Sada, to include inland areas, as illustrated in the map below. There have continued to be instances of military activity in South Lebanon and near the Syrian borders since the November 2024 cessation of hostilities arrangement. Border with Syria. Level 4. Do not travel, depart if you are there. The U.S. Embassy strongly urges U.S. citizens to avoid the Lebanon-Syria border and to depart if you are there. This area has seen clashes between Lebanese security forces and Syrian-based groups, as well as recent airstrikes. The U.S. Department of State also warns U.S. citizens of the risk of traveling on flights that fly over Syria, which includes some flights to and from Beirut. Refugee settlements. Level 4. Do not travel, depart if you are there. The U.S. Embassy urges U.S. citizens to avoid travel to refugee settlements in Lebanon and depart if you are there. These settlements are prone to outbreaks of violence including shootings and explosions. The U.S. Embassy in Beirut statement ends in quotes. Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, while speaking before Israeli lawmakers on Monday, said, and in quotes below, Mr. Speaker, members of the Knesset, once a month we meet here. I listen attentively to your remarks, which are becoming increasingly polemical and very aggressive. At times, they deteriorate into a language that should not be common here. But I must tell you, I am not exactly deterred by these encounters. I don't even dislike them. Sometimes, I can even enjoy them. I recently returned from my 7th meeting with the President of the United States since his election. In the last 2.5 years, we have pushed back a threat against every single citizen of Israel, Jews and non-Jews, Haredim and secular, and everyone in between. A threat against the 10 million citizens of Israel, who face the danger of annihilation by the Iranian enemy and its proxies. And I say today, regarding the subject of this debate, the safeguarding of the lives of millions of Israeli citizens, Israel has never been stronger. The alliance with the US has never been tighter. This includes the relationship between the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Israel, between myself and Donald Trump. There have never been relations like these between the IDF and the US military, between our security agencies and their security services. There has never been anything like it. The entire world knows Israel's strength. Leaders come to us. The Chancellor of Germany, leaders of world powers, the Prime Minister of India, a superpower of 1.5 billion people, President Trump previously, and other leaders who have been here and spoken here. So, I could come now, and I've prepared for this. I have points here. I could answer you in kind, but much more forcefully. I could confront you with the truth that you are trying to disguise. I could, but this is not the time for polemics. I am putting that aside. We are in complex and challenging days. Members of the Knesset, no one knows what the day will bring. We are keeping a watchful eye. We are prepared for any scenario. I have conveyed and clarified to the Ayatollah's regime that if they make what might be the gravest mistake in their history and attack the state of Israel, we will respond with a force they cannot even imagine. This is not the time for bickering. In these days, on the eve of the Purim holiday, in those days, as of this season, we must close ranks as a nation and stand shoulder to shoulder. I am confident in our strength. I trust our commanders. I trust our male and female fighters. I trust our people, and I trust you, the citizens of Israel. We have already proven that when we stand together, we achieve greatness. On the eve of Purim, we will stand together, and with God's help, we will ensure the eternity of Israel.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Nigeria Police Force under the leadership of the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetoken, has kept mum since a video went viral on social media platforms, wherein allegation of bringing people illegally to settle inside forest in Edo State was made against the divisional police officer, the DPO, who is currently serving at the divisional police headquarters at Ugboha community in the Essen Southeast local government area in the state, a state that have witnessed rampant cases of kidnappings in recent time, especially since the beginning of this year, despite the fact that the Edo State governor, Monday Okpebholo, has executed the destruction of numbers of houses or properties of apparent innocent landlords or people who may not have direct connection with the crime. It may be recalled that early 2025, the governor demolished a residential property on College Road simply because it was linked to a kidnapping gang operating in the Aduawa, Iyan, and Benin Auchi Road bypass axis, even when the building belonged to a woman based in Italy. Just that, her brother, Osamede Asamota, the alleged key leader of the gang, allegedly used it to coordinate abductions. This is just one of many properties demolished by the Edo state government over kidnapping in the state, yet, records of kidnappings in the state continued to grow higher, and recent police and military arrests indicated that Edo State is perhaps under siege of foreign invaders who may have taken over larger part of the state forest to coordinate kidnappings in the state while working with some of the local residents to perpetuate the criminal act. It may be interesting to note that another set of non-indigenes of the state arrested by the police recently included 2 persons caught inside the specialist hospital in Auchi. The 2 suspects who were said to be non-indigenes of the state were among the gang of kidnappers behind the abduction of Dr. Abu Babatunde, who regained his freedom after his family reportedly paid a sum of 50 million nairas ransom after the doctor and his younger brother were abducted on January 2, 2026, while opening the gate to their residence along City Pride Road, Igbira Camp, Auchi, and unfortunately, the younger brother was later found dead on January 5 near the Orly River along City Pride Road, with police suspecting he was killed by the abductors, and the alleged illegal settlers who confessed the Ugboha DPO as their facilitator, are said to be non-Nigerians from foreign countries. According to one of the vigilantes who caught the illegal settlers, the arrested illegal settlers in the forest will be taken to the station. The vigilante member also said the illegal settlers are not Nigerians, and close watchers said people are brought in and smuggled into Edo forests illegally, and such people may be responsible for the act of kidnapping in the state. Available records indicated that the kidnapping situation in the state is currently happening almost daily, with numbers of the state residents and indigenes also recorded dead or killed by kidnappers since Governor Monday Okpebholo came into power. On the recent arrest of 2 suspects at the specialist hospital in Auchi, the Edo State Command Public Relations Officer, Ino Ikiodum, the first breakthrough came on the 3rd of February 2026. Operatives of the Auchi Division, while conducting a routine bush combing operation in collaboration with local hunters and vigilante groups at Warake Forest, and following a lead-on and intelligence, intercepted 1 Samanu Kawuji, male, and a search conducted on the suspect led to the recovery of 2 knives, 2 mobile phones, 1 UBA ATM card, and the sum of 20,250 naira. An identification parade was conducted at the police station, and he was identified by one of the abductors of Dr. Abu Babatunde. Similarly, on the 8th of February 2026 at about 9 o'clock hours, the divisional police officer, following a lead on the same case, mobilized operatives to the specialist hospital, Auchi, where 2 suspects identified as Idris Abubakar, male, and Sani Abubakar, male, were apprehended at the hospital premises. Both suspects have also been identified as part of the gang that abducted Dr. Babatunde on February 1, 2026. Idris Abubakar was identified as the particular person who received ransom money for the release of Dr. Abu. Efforts have been intensified towards conducting a comprehensive and discreet investigation aimed at dismantling the entire notorious organized criminal network responsible for the kidnappings in Auchi and its environs. The Commissioner of Police, Edo State Command, CP Monday Agbonika, reassures members of the public of the command's resolve to pursue all kidnapping cases to a logical conclusion and bring perpetrators to justice, while sustaining aggressive bushcombing operations and intelligence-led policing across the state. The command can be reached on the following numbers: emergency control room numbers 08077773721 and 08037646272, and for complaints, Public Complaints Bureau, PCBO 81509999335, Complaints Response Unit, CRUO 8100389992. Meanwhile, a lecturer with the Federal Polytechnic, Auchi, Isa Abdulaziz, had earlier on Sunday posted on his Facebook wall that Dr. Abu Babatunde reported for duty today, Sunday, February 8, 2026, at the Edo State University Teaching Hospital, unaware that his routine workday would reopen one of the darkest chapters of his life. While on ward rounds, Dr. Babatunde noticed some individuals who had come to visit a patient. In a chilling moment of recognition, he identified among them members of the same kidnapping gang that abducted him and his younger brother, a tragic incident that ended with the killing of his brother while attempting to escape from the den. Acting swiftly, Dr. Babatunde immediately alerted the local security outfit, popularly known as the Vigilante. However, under circumstances that remain unclear, the information reportedly leaked to the police before the Vigilante team could arrive. Police officers moved in promptly, arresting 2 of the suspects and detaining them today, Sunday, February 8, 2026, at the Divisional Police Station in Auchi. Fresh accounts emerging today further deepen the case. One of the individuals who participated in delivering the ransom that secured Dr. Babatunde's release has identified one of the arrested suspects as being among those who physically received the ransom on the day the payment was made. Another report indicates that, just last night, the 2 suspects carried out POS transactions at a stand within Auchi, raising fresh questions about the source of the funds. A significant sum of money was allegedly found in their possession at the time of arrest today, an amount investigators believe is inconsistent with the known means and strongly suggestive of criminal activity. As this report is being filed today, credible sources confirm that pressure is already being mounted on the divisional police officer in Auchi to release the suspects. This development has sparked widespread concern within the community. Notably, during a recent meeting with Auchi youth bodies, the DPO was reportedly overheard stating that the case had become widely publicized and could no longer be swept under the carpet, an indication that attempts may already be underway to compromise the process. For a community long traumatized by kidnapping and violent crime, today's arrests represent a critical moment. The people of Auchi and its environs are watching closely. The Edo state government must now take decisive responsibility. Governor Monday Okpebholo is urged to ensure that investigations are thorough and transparent and that, if the suspects are found guilty, the full weight of the Edo state anti-kidnapping law is applied without interference. Justice for Dr. Abu Babatunde, for his murdered brother, and for countless victims across Edo North must not be delayed or denied. Today must mark a turning point, not another missed opportunity.
Huh? Speak English. If you don't speak English, you not be sick.
Speak English.
Which person?
Speak English.
Which person Karuna come? Okay. Which person should you mention in name? Ugba. Ugba DPO. Now Karuna come. Okay. Now Ugba DPO Karuna come. Okay. No problem. Okay. You know the state. You know this are you in Nigeria? Huh? Are you in Nigeria? Why they tell me say see your ID card? Bring the ID card, come. Give me. Call the person when you want to call. DPO for Ugba. Okay. No, sorry. Where did DPO? The FA yes. Hey, yeah, video. What do you want to tell that with the whole group? Hey, stop. You know what we do now? We go drop now for station.
Be looking at me now. You, they look me. Hey, they look me. Look me.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Day after the Edo State Commissioner of Police, Monday Agbonika personally led troops of joint security operatives at the dead of the night to launch offensive attacks against kidnappers in the forest. The commander, 4 Brigade of the Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Ahmed Balogun also personally led troops of joint security operatives to the kidnappers' hideouts and launched massive military clearance and offensive actions against kidnappers. Both security operations led to the arrest of several suspected kidnappers allegedly caught in the act inside the bush, with the identities of the arrested suspects indicating that most of the kidnappers terrorizing Edo State are from the far northern part of Nigeria, an observation which appeared to have challenged the public policy statement made earlier in January 2026 by the Edo State Governor, Monday Okpebholo, who stated that many of those involved in the kidnapping surge in Edo State are indigenes of the area, saying that may be the reason some kidnappers wear face masks. The governor made this statement as kidnapping in the state appeared to have become worse in 2026 and very rampant in a manner that indicated that an average of 1 to 2 persons are being kidnapped in a day in Edo State, as more than 60 persons became new victims of the increasing criminal activities in the state since the beginning of 2026. Like, in January 2, 2026, 2 brothers, Dr. Abu Ibrahim Babatunde, a medical doctor on housemanship, and Abu Tahir, a fresh graduate, were kidnapped at the gate of their residence along City Pride Road, Igbira Camp in Auchi, the kidnappers initially demanded a 200 million naira ransom, and tragically, on January 5th, one of the two brothers was found dead. On January 9th, 2026, 8 indigenes of a Moga community in the Akoko, Edo local government area of the state were abducted from a hotel along Abilo Road. Since the start of 2026, Edo State has experienced a significant surge in kidnappings, leading to widespread protests at Ikpoma in the Edo Central Senatorial Zone, with multiple police rescue operations, including the incidents reported early February 2026, where police rescued 9 victims, including 5 children and a separate group of 14 victims. This is that, earlier on January 22, 2026, a farmer named Monday Adero was kidnapped and later rescued, and in late January, another farmer, Abraham Udwa, and his 2 wives, Brinda and Anna, were abducted from Agoro Amende community but successfully rescued by security forces. In mid-January, Ake Favor and a former student union leader were kidnapped in Edo Central. Troubled by the surge in kidnapping in the state, residents and students of Ambrose Ali University, AAU staged a major protest on January 10, 2026, citing daily kidnappings and the abduction of a university professor and numerous students. On February 2, 2026, a family of 9 was ambushed at Eko Abeku Ioa Road in Ovia Northeast local government area, and the kidnappers demanded a 260 million naira ransom for 4 children and 2 women still held after 5 others were rescued or released. That aside, on January 31, 2026, gunmen intercepted a commercial bus near Ekiodola, shooting the driver and taking passengers into the bush. Police later rescued 13 victims. In mid-January 2026, multiple residents in Ikpoma were abducted, including a victim captured on CCTV being taken from his compound. According to Captain Kennedy Anyanwu, the Assistant Director of Army Public Relations at 4 Brigade Nigerian Army, troops of 4 Brigade, Nigerian Army, in collaboration with personnel of the Nigerian Air Force, Edo State Police Command, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, and the Edo State Security Corps, on the 4th of February 2026 conducted a clearance operation, codenamed Operation Igbo Danu 1, to neutralize, flush out terrorists, kidnappers and rescue victims at Asara community in Etsiko West local government area, as well as Auchi and Okpela communities, all in Edo North Senatorial District of Edo State. During the operation, 8 suspected kidnappers and illicit drug peddlers were arrested. The suspects were identified as Jamalu Muhammad, 25, Kasim Abu, 33, Brimo Afiz, 31, Suleiman Hamisu, 36, Lawan Umaru, 25, Bawa Awal, 24, Musa Umaru, 40, and Amodu Atai, 50. Weapons recovered from the suspects include 1 English auto-pump action gun, 4 live cartridges, and 1 locally made pistol. Other items seized were a point-of-sale (POS) machine, 2 cutlasses, a Nikon digital camera, 2 Android phones, a metal hook, 5 bottles of codeine syrup, 2 Indian hemp weighing scales, and quantities of substances suspected to be cannabis sativa, tramadol, ice, loud and colos. The sum of 87,550 nairas was also recovered. The suspects and recovered items have been handed over to the Edo State Police Command for further investigation. In a related development, troops of 4 Brigade, in conjunction with the Edo State Police Command, also combed the Avili Forest in Etsiko West local government area aimed at flushing out suspected terrorists and kidnappers. During the raid, 5 suspected kidnappers, Isiaka Abubakar, 37, Muhammad Abubakar, 25, Yusuf Abubakar, 24, Muhammad Somu, 20, and Isiaka Ibrahim, 30, were arrested. Items recovered from them include 2 motorcycles, 2 Android phones, and a power bank. The suspects and recovered items were also handed over to the police for further investigation. The commander, 4 Brigade, Brigadier General Ahmed Balagun, who led the operations, commended the swift response and collaboration among the security agencies. He warned that Edo State will be untenable for terrorists, kidnappers and other criminal elements to carry out the nefarious activities. He also reaffirmed the brigade's commitment to safeguarding lives and properties in the state. He expressed appreciation to the General Officer Commanding 2 Division, Nigerian Army, Major General Shinidu Nebufe, for his strategic guidance and support. While ASP Eno Ikiodum, the Edo Police Command Public Relations Officer, had stated that, in continuation of the joint clearance operations, a meticulously executed night operation that underscores the resolve of synergized security forces to confront crime at its roots was conducted. The Edo State Police Command, in the early hours of Tuesday the 3rd of February 2026, carried out a daring raid deep within the Agbede Forest, Etsuko West local government area of Edo State, leading to the arrest of 6 suspects. The operation was launched following a critical intelligence breakthrough provided by a kidnapped victim who was able to clearly identify the forest camp where he had been held captive. Acting decisively on this lead, the Commissioner of Police, Edo State Command, CP Monday Agbonika, personally led a formidable joint team comprising the Nigeria Police Force, the Nigerian Army, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, the Edo State Security Corps, ESSC, and local hunters into the heart of the forest under the cover of darkness. Demonstrating precision and determination, the joint team drove for approximately 3 hours until the end of the last accessible motorable road. From that point, the operatives advanced on foot, navigating dense forest paths and crossing three locally constructed wooden bridges to reach the identified camp. The silent advance, which lasted close to two additional hours, ensured tactical surprise and prevented any compromise of the mission. Upon arrival at the location at about 3:45 a.m., the area was swiftly cordoned off in a well-coordinated encirclement, effectively cutting off all escape routes. A thorough sweep of the camp resulted in the arrest of 6 suspects identified as Mikel Jendiga, male, aged 41 years, from Benue State, Yusuf Abubakar, male, aged 34 years, from Kano State, Isiaka Abraham, male, aged 30 years, from Kogi State, Isiaka Abubakar, male, aged 37 years, from Kano State, Mohammed Sumo, male, aged 20 years, from Kano State, and Mohammed Abubakar, male, aged 25 years, from Kano State. The suspects are currently being profiled and subjected to intensive investigation by officers of the State Criminal Investigation Department, SCID, Benin City, for diligent prosecution. Describing the operation as a clear message to criminal elements, the Commissioner of Police commends the courage, discipline, and seamless inter-agency collaboration displayed by all personnel involved. He reaffirms the command's determination to take the fight against organized crime to the abode of suspected criminals at their most remote locations and warned that Edo State forests will no longer serve as safe havens for criminals. The Edo State Police Command urges members of the public to remain vigilant and to continue supporting security agencies with timely and credible information, assuring citizens that sustained intelligence-led operations will remain a key strategy in securing lives and property across the state.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
In this write-up, a legal practitioner, Njoku Jude Njoku pinpoints some fundamentals in the judgment passed against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu by Justice James Omotosho, which convicted and sentenced the Biafra Republic agitation leader to life imprisonment, and in this press release the legal practitioner issued in late 2025 entitled, the 24th of November 2025, the day evidence ceased to matter in Nigerian courts, judicial silence, selective justice, and media complicity, described Justice Omotosho as unprofessional, stating that, the most dangerous aspect of the judgment delivered by Justice James K. Omotosho is not merely that it reached a foreordained conclusion, but that it did so by deliberately suppressing evidence he already admitted on record in his own court, thereby converting adjudication into a procedural facade. This was not an error of law or an oversight of fact. It was a calculated refusal to engage with material evidence whose evaluation would have fatally undermined the prosecution's narrative, emphasizing that this case is no longer about one man. It is about whether courts may openly disregard admitted evidence and still be treated as legitimate, and whether the media will continue to mask such conduct through silence. A judiciary that can ignore evidence without explanation has ceased to function as a court of law. A media that refuses to question that silence has abdicated its public duty. Together, they place the rule of law itself in existential peril. Continuing, in details, Njoku said, once evidence is admitted, it binds the judge absolutely. The conduct, protest, silence, or alleged boycott of the defendant, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, is legally irrelevant to that obligation. Judgment writing is not a negotiation with the accused. It is a solitary judicial duty anchored exclusively to the evidentiary record. A judge may reject defense evidence, but he must first confront it, evaluate it, and explain why it is rejected. Silence is not neutrality. Silence is suppression. Had Justice Omotosho evaluated the admitted video exhibit of Theophilus, T.Y. Danjuma, he would have been confronted with the inescapable reality that public calls for communities to arm themselves in self-defense against murderous violence were not unique to Nnamdi Kanu, nor criminalized when made by powerful establishment figures. Proper evaluation would have compelled the court to accept that Kanu's calls for guns and bullets in Los Angeles, USA or during broadcasts were framed as community self-defense against the ravages of armed Fulani killer herders, not incitement to lawless violence. Had Justice Omotosho evaluated the admitted video evidence of Governor Hope Uzodinma, he would have known, because Uzodinma stated it publicly, that neither Nnamdi Kanu nor the IPOB had any hand in the killing of Ahmed Gulag. That single evaluation would have punctured one of the most politically weaponized allegations surrounding this case. Had Justice Omotosho listened to his fellow Yoruba kinsman and Nigeria's intelligence chief, Adeola Oluwatosin Ajayi, whose statements were also admitted in evidence, he would have been forced to acknowledge that the formation of armed vigilante groups for community defense was openly endorsed at the highest levels of Nigeria's security establishment. That acknowledgement would have led inexorably to the conclusion that Kanu was right to form to defend Igboland when the state failed to do so. Had Justice Omotosho evaluated the evidence surrounding Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry report on NSAS violence, he would have seen the documentary trail showing that Nnamdi Kanu repeatedly wrote to and consulted Southeast governors, urging them to establish a regional security outfit similar to Omotosho. Their refusal, not Kanu's ambition, precipitated the formation of ESN. Proper judicial evaluation would have made clear that ESN was conceptually and functionally analogous to Omotosho, differing only in political acceptance, not in purpose. Had Justice Omotosho reviewed and evaluated the admitted report on NSAS violence, he would have been confronted with authoritative findings that squarely blamed killings and violence on the army and police, not on Nnamdi Kanu. That report decisively dismantles the lazy and dishonest attribution of nationwide violence to IPOB broadcasts and would have stripped the prosecution's claims of moral and evidentiary legitimacy. Had Justice Omotosho paid even minimal attention to chronology, he would have known that attributing post-June 2021 insecurity in the southeast to Nnamdi Kanu is factually and logically impossible. From June 2021 onward, Kanu was held in underground DSS detention, incommunicado, without access to telephones, visitors, counsel, or even his wife. A man locked in solitary confinement, denied all external communication, cannot simultaneously be directing events outside detention walls. Time itself disproves the allegation. The failure to reconcile alleged acts with undisputed detention timelines is not a minor evidentiary lapse. It is a collapse of basic judicial reasoning. Courts that ignore timelines abandon causation, and once causation is abandoned, conviction becomes a matter of narrative convenience rather than proof. These were not speculative arguments. They were admitted exhibits. Their collective evaluation would have collapsed the architecture of the conviction. That is precisely why they were ignored. The refusal to evaluate this evidence was not accidental. It was not procedural, it was outcome-driven. Justice Omotosho ignored them because he was operating under an overriding imperative to convict by all means, regardless of the evidentiary record. This is the gravest danger such a judgment poses. It signals to the judiciary that evidence may be admitted, buried, and erased at the judgment stage without consequence. Even more disturbing is the silence of major international media organizations, none of which ask the most basic question any law student would pose. Why did the court ignore defense evidence it had itself admitted? By reproducing the conclusions of the judgment without interrogating its evidentiary omissions, these media houses became unwitting accomplices in the laundering of judicial misconduct. This case is no longer about one man. It is about whether courts may openly disregard admitted evidence and still be treated as legitimate, and whether the media will continue to mask such conduct through silence. A judiciary that can ignore evidence without explanation has ceased to function as a court of law. A media that refuses to question that silence has abdicated its public duty. Together, they place the rule of law itself in existential peril. Who is Njoku Jude Njoku, Esquire? According to Google Gemini, Njoku Jude Njoku, Esquire is a United Kingdom-based human rights lawyer and a key legal advisor to the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. His recent professional activities include legal representation. He serves as a legal consultant for Kanu and is a prominent member of the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu Global Defense Consortium. Critique of extradition. He has accused the Nigerian government of violating local and international laws, specifically the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, regarding Kanu's forceful extradition from Kenya in 2021. Judicial advocacy. He has frequently criticized the Nigerian judiciary, describing certain rulings as procedural theater, and suggesting that Nigerian judges require refresher courses on judicial English, due to what he terms a crisis in the comprehension of laws. Recent filings. As of late January 2026, he has been involved in rejecting court rulings that struck out applications for Kanu's transfer to facilities closer to Abuja, vowing to pursue these matters on appeal.
Osazuwa Radio, bringing you the news in a more digital way. Osazuwa Radio, bringing you the news in a more digital way.